Good afternoon. On behalf of the city of Summersville and Governor, we've got a room full of dignitaries here. So in me not making a mistake to start the show, I'm just going to welcome everybody. It's great to have the governor from the great state of West Virginia here with us in Summersville today on his community show. So Governor, thanks for coming to Summersville. Glad to have you today, and the floor is yours.
You're very kind, Mayor, and thank y'all all for coming. There's no great big agenda here. You know, I'm going to start off with here revenue and his, comrade in crime and everything and all good stuff. Mark Mukow's with us and everything. These are the people that put the numbers together, bring me the numbers, tell me all the good stuff and the bad, and then we go from there. But, Secretary of Revenue, if Brother Hardy will come up here and talk to us, that'd be really good.
Okay. Thank you, Governor. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here. I was telling the mayor there, in the fall of 1977, when I was on the cross-country team and the track team at West Virginia Tech and weighed 160 pounds, we always came up here with Coach Bob Brown from Oak Hill. And our first training thing we would do would be run the Potato Festival run every year. So I'm still wheezing from that way back in those days. But it's wonderful to be here. And I call myself, and Mark's the Deputy Secretary of Revenue, and I'm the Secretary of Revenue for the Governor. I call us the numbers nerds, okay? We're the guys that manage the state's budget and manage the revenue and try to understand the big picture on the state's finances. And let me tell you how this played out, okay? I was a county commissioner in Kanawha County for 16 years. And in January 17, the governor honored me by asking me to come and be the Secretary of Revenue. And I was real excited about it. And I came up, and the first month we were there, first week, Mayor, they handed us a financial report. And this was in January 17. And we were $217 million in the hole, brackets, red, for fiscal year 17 or 18. In other words, in the next 6 months, we were $217 million in the hole. And for the next year, which would have started July 1st of 17, we were $497 million in the hole. So if you add those two numbers up, we were over $700 million in the hole, underwater, in January 2017. Now I'm going to take you to June 30th of 2022, this year. When we closed the books this year, under the direction of my boss, Governor Justice, West Virginia posted a $1,308 million surplus. First time ever. We set a record. Our revenue grew by 22% under the guidance of this governor. And I tell you, it's the real deal. Once a year, this old guy from Pratt, West Virginia, has to go up to Wall Street with Mark and our revenue team, and we have to show the Wall Street folks West Virginia's financial picture. And I wish every West Virginian could see what we heard earlier this month, how we were appraised as West Virginia is a state on the move. Financially, the state is in the best condition it's ever been, ever. And the governor has decided it's time that we start returning some money to the people of West Virginia. And we started doing some research, and we started looking around, and what we found out was there are 9 states in the United States out of all 50 that don't have a state income tax. And there are states like Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Nevada. You notice these are pretty good states, don't you think? I went to the University of Tennessee. I know what a great state Tennessee is. And those states, in the last 10 years, those states have grown at a double the population growth as the other 41 states. Their economies have grown 56% more than the other 41 states, just in the last 10 years. And the governor is never afraid of a big idea. And the governor said, why don't we try to eliminate the income tax in the state of West Virginia? Let's make that our goal. And we have put together a plan where we are going to immediately, this year, not next year, this year, 2022, we have a plan where we are going to cut West Virginia's income taxes immediately, first cut 10%, which is $271 million that we're going to put back in the pocket of all these hardworking West Virginians that are working and paying their income taxes every day. Moving forward, that's only the first step. The governor's goal as we move through his time in office is to completely phase out this income tax. And if we can do 10% this year, a year from now, we might do 20% more, 30% more. We might even be able to eliminate it at the rate we're going. And nothing would attract people to this state faster than eliminating this state income tax. I'll tell you why I know this. Telework. Telework is not the future. Telework is now. The experts are saying one of the things that we've learned from the pandemic is that we're going to have more and more people working from home. And if we can eliminate the income tax in West Virginia, we will have telework employees moving to our state immediately. And we will have the lowest income tax. We won't have any income tax of the 5 states around West Virginia. So we have a vision. And the vision is we're going to eliminate the state income tax, and we're going to make West Virginia a mecca for people to come and work and raise their families. And we're talking about teleworkers, and we're talking about retirees as well. Getting rid of the income tax is definitely the way to go. And and the governor's going to elaborate more about this. So we put this plan together. We're excited about it. But I'll tell you one thing that's very clear. We cannot support this plan if the people of West Virginia pass this Amendment 2 and the legislature takes away the revenue for all the cities and counties. And let me explain how Amendment 2 works. Because let's make it clear, we should be voting no on Amendment 2 in November. And let me tell you why. In 1932, that's 90 years ago, the West Virginia people voted to allow the cities and counties to have in the West Virginia Constitution the property tax. The real estate and the personal property tax belongs to the cities and counties and the schools. And that is a constitutionally guaranteed revenue source for you, Mayor, for Summersville, for Nicholas County, for all of our sheriffs, our EMTs, all the people that work very hard at a local level to provide the services that we need. Well, Amendment 2, brilliant idea, we're just going to take that away. We're just going to take it out of the Constitution. West Virginia legislature is just going to take that away. And on a promise that forevermore, you can go to the West Virginia legislature every year, Mayor, and you can ask for your money year in and year out, $550 million that's being taken away from the cities and counties. And every year, the West Virginia legislature, from this day forward, will be there to provide you with your $550 million worth of money to fund local government. Does that sound like a good idea? It's a terrible idea. It takes local government and the revenue generated for local government, sends all that money to Charleston, and then you get to go down to Charleston and you get to ask the legislature, oh, please, I see your sign, oh, please give us our money back. Well, we're in good times right now, but this man here will not always be the governor, and we know good times don't always last. There'll be bad times. In 2017, 2016, 2015, West Virginia had a terrible time with its finances because the severance revenue fell off the end of the table. Now, let's say that happens again. You're going to be down there competing with the West Virginia pensioners. You're going to be competing with the West Virginia state employees. You're going to be competing with PEIA. You're going to be competing with all the other parties that want to line up and get paid from the state budget. Don't go there. Stay where you are. Stay with your constitutionally guaranteed revenue source. Get out here and tell the people, this money belongs to us. We're not going to send it to Charleston and then go back down there for the next 100 years, every year, no matter what happens, and say, please give us our money back. So that's why this numbers nerd right here thinks, and this governor, that Amendment 2 is a shipwreck for the state's budget. It will hurt the state beyond belief. And the governor says sometimes I talk too much. So at this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to the boss, Governor Jim Justice.
Okay. Let me just talk to you, and I'll just be just as blunt and down home as I can possibly be. I'll be just the same guy that you've known for a long, long, long time. First of all, I know we got a bunch of dignitaries, and the mayor was really kind in his words and everything, but we got, Senator Carnes with us as well as others. And let me tell you something about Robert. Robert is a real thinker. He thinks outside the box. He's a super smart guy. He's a really super smart guy. And with all that and everything, he totally gets a tremendous amount about what I'm talking about. I got all the respect in the world for him, and absolutely just think he's a diamond in the rough in a lot of ways in the Senate. Now, whether you agree with his thinking or don't agree with it, that's fine and dandy. But I'm just telling you from my side, from where I am, and from what I've seen, what we've got going on today is just this. And here's what we got. And you can like it or not like it. But in Washington, D.C. today, we have what's called the swamp. And there, what happens every single time we turn around is interest groups, business a lot of times, goes to the lobbyist, and they tell the lobbyist what they want them to do. The lobbyists then go to the legislatures and basically pass out money like crazy or whatever it may be, campaign funds or whatever. You just got to ask yourself, how many politicians do you know that have never had a job? They've never had a job, but they're so rich it's unbelievable. How'd they get that way? They got that way through the swamp. I mean, they did. That's all there is to it. Now, what you've got going on, like it or not like it, today in Charleston, is you've got the same level of swamp going on right before your eyes. Now, here's why I say that. Because what we're doing, and many people within the legislature went along with this prior to probably really thinking through the whole process of, wait a minute here, we didn't realize all this could happen. I didn't realize that it could all happen too. But what you've got today is you've got this. You've got to where, from the Senate standpoint, we won't even vote. We won't even bring it to a vote. From the standpoint of getting some money back in your hands tomorrow in regard to the income tax cut. Every last one of you are hurting because of inflation. Every single last one of you are. It's your money. We do have the surpluses. It's your money. And what I'm saying to you is the fastest way I can get it back in your hands is an income tax cut. That's all there is to it. The next thing is we have got, by what we know, there are ARPA, which is American Rescue Plan dollars the state has gotten, that really and truly there are requirements by law that if you cut taxes and you cut a certain percentage and everything, if you go beyond that, then you have an obligation to give that money back to them. Well, we don't want to give the federal money back to the state. My God, living, that'd be the craziest. I mean, to the nation, I mean, to the, back to Washington, that'd be the worst thing in the world to do. So you go as far as you can go. That's what we did. We went as high as we could go. Now, but the reason the leaders of the Senate, President Blair, Chairman Tarr, two guys primarily are just controlling the whole narrative. The House went along with what I wanted to do. In all honesty, Robert was right probably with me too. But when it really all boils right down to it, we haven't been able to even have a vote. And the reason is really just right here. What is Amendment 2 really about? Amendment 2 is saying this. It's saying that if you pass this amendment, it gives the right to the legislature to change tax structures, to do whatever they want to do, okay? Basically today, you have a guaranteed income stream that is coming to the local level. If they decide they don't want to do that, they can basically take that completely away from you. And so what they've come up with is a methodology that they would like to see happen. Now look, I would be in favor of getting rid of the machinery and inventory tax, getting rid of the car tax. I'd be in favor of doing anything and everything we could possibly do all across the board. But one thing for certain, if you do the machinery and inventory tax tomorrow, you will put the nail in the stake in the heart of getting rid of your personal income tax forever. And I personally don't believe that it will move the dial hardly at all. You see, company after company after company is coming to the state of West Virginia today, right now as we speak. Whether it be Nucor or Green Power or Berkshire Hathaway or whatever, I mean, good gosh, Pure Watercraft. I mean, there's so many things going on every day. I have yet to have the first company call me on the phone and say, I'd come to West Virginia if you got rid of the machinery and inventory tax. I have yet to have the first one do that. Well, then how in the world are we on this campaign of what's going on? And it goes back to where I'm at, the swamp. You've got people, whether it be manufacturers or whomever it may be, that are courting the legislature with their lobbyists, and they've made obligations. They've said, if you do this, we'll support you if you want to run for governor, if you want to run for this or that or whatever. And before you know it, we have our own little Charleston swamp going on. Now, if that isn't bad enough, just think about just this. You don't know what Amendment 2 is all about. You don't have a clue. In fact, a lot of you believe really that Amendment 2 is all to do with guns. I mean, it doesn't have a thing in the world to do with that. The other thing is you may, in your thinking, have it so upside down that just think about this just for a second, and I'll come back to this. Well, just stay with me. You're giving the legislature the right to take things away from local control and put it into Charleston control. Now, I got to tell you this, and I can't be more blunt. Way back before I ever dreamed that there could possibly be nobody would have ever thunk it that really we could have gotten rid of our income tax in West Virginia. Well, we can today. We really, really can. Now, if you factor in that, way back then, I would have been one to stand up and say, let's get rid of the machinery and inventory tax. I would have been in favor of getting rid of any tax that we could have gotten rid of. But there's another point here too. Way back then, we didn't have Nucor and Green Power and Berkshire Hathaway and all these people calling and coming. Now we do have. So now we've got more information. Now I really believe that we can get rid of our personal income tax. And now I really know that everybody in the world, as far as these big corporations, are coming. So why then would we move right now to take away local control, put it in Charleston control, and run the risk of a passage that will happen just like that, a passage of absolutely doing the machinery and inventory tax. Now, who benefits from that? Well, in all honesty, if we get rid of the machinery and inventory tax, I'll promise you I know one that really benefits. It's me. Me. My companies, it will mean millions of dollars to me. And I'm telling you, don't do it. Because I'll promise you, to God above, I signed on for you. I did not sign on for me. I drive myself. I don't take a salary. I don't want anything from the people. I want to try to do exactly what our forefathers did forever ago. And you trust me. I'll guarantee you trust me. And you believe in what I tell you. Now, the last thing I'd say is just this. Just think about this. Here's what you're being asked. You're not being told this. And people may say, well, why don't I sit down and debate and well, think about it now. And this is the God's fact. And that's all I can do is tell you the truth. People, whether it be Blair and Tarr, whoever it may be, they've been running all around, all over the place, telling county commissioners what they're going to do, and they're going to do this and that for the counties and everything else. They've been doing it for a year. And they've never once asked me. They've never once come to me and said, what do you think? Or come with us, or express your views, or not one time. They've never asked me to the party. Now, why sit around now at the 11th hour and debate this? You've got to just have knowledge. When you have knowledge, if you decide you want to vote for this, I'll be completely respectful of that. In fact, if I see in Walmart, long after I'm gone from the governor, I'll look at you and say, I told you so. Because you'll regret it, and you'll regret it in the biggest way that you can't imagine. Let me put it this simple, and please stay with me just one more second. What if I were to say to you as politicians, and God knows I don't want to be that. I don't really care at the end of the day if you're a Democrat or Republican or independent. I promise you, with all in me, first and foremost, I want us to be West Virginians and Americans. That's all there is to that. Now, I am really conservative in my values. I really believe in life. I really absolutely believe in your guns and all the different things that make me a per se then Republican. But absolutely, I don't believe we need to be standing up, throwing rocks at each other and saying, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm this, I'm that. We shouldn't be doing that. There's too many people on the outside that throw rocks at West Virginians. We don't need to throw rocks at each other. No, we don't. But here's the deal. If I could be a politician just a second, here's what I'm telling you. You give me your wallets, all of you. Just give me your wallets and give me all the money out of your wallet, every bit of your money. And then as a politician, I'm a Charleston politician, I'm going to promise I'll give it back. Now that's what you're doing. You can say what you want, but that's what you're doing. And at the same breath that I know we're going to have a bad year or two along the way, we won't be able to give it back. Then what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Are we going to look at our EMSs, or are we going to look at the police or the firemen or the schools? Or even more than that, are we going to look at situations to where we got matching funds to get federal dollars that's off the chart that we can't do? We can't do the match. What are we going to do when we have a request EIA? What are we going to do about pay raises for people? What are we going to do? Well, really and truly, we're going to be up Duke Creek, and we're not going to be able to do it. because we didn't mind the store the right way, and we didn't do what we were supposed to do. And we took the control out of your hands and we put it in Big Daddy Charleston's hands, and then all of a sudden they can't do it. And then you're right back where you were when Jim Justice walked in the door. Say what you want, but when I walked in the door and they handed me the books, they were what Dave Hardy just told you they were. And absolutely, I'm a business guy, and I'm telling you, honest to God, I don't care who says it in any way, we were dead bankrupt. Bankrupt. And all we could think of doing was more cuts. And the more people we cut, the more people left. And all we did is continue to just drag the hole right with us. Now, we're a different animal today. We're on a rocket ship ride beyond belief, and we're about to blow our blooming legs off, and you don't know it. You don't know it. The other thing is just this. If you could just close your eyes and dream just for a second that you, in the state of West Virginia, got rid of your income tax, how many people do you think would come? My God, 11? You know, I see Rodney saying back there, how many automobiles would you sell? I mean, Jesus criminy, guys, give me a blooming break. Honest to Pete, it would blow you away what we would do versus getting rid of the machinery and inventory tax that basically is going to be to the benefit of big corporations and a bunch of them from out of state, you know, and the workers. You see, in West Virginia, what we need today, we need people. My God, 11, we need people. Well, income tax eradication will absolutely be an immediate impact of people. The other flip side of it is this. You can get on me and say what you want. I'm going to stand with the people. Because I believe really and truly you've helped pull the rope through this pandemic. You absolutely are the fabric of every single thing we have. I'm going to stand with the people. You know, now, so when it really boils right down to it, well, here's the whole deal. From my standpoint, I don't want to be in a food fight with, you know, President Blair or Tar or any. I don't want to be in a food fight with them. I don't have time to be in a food fight with people. Honest to God, I want to go out and try to recruit another business or make something else happen in West Virginia. I don't have time to hack up with a food fight. At the end of the day, I know you don't know. And now, from the standpoint, if you believe what I've told you here, because I'm not going to tell you anything but the truth. I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you some garbage so that I can get more campaign donations or I can get the next highest office. I'm not going to do that. And I am telling you without any question, if you want the driver to your economies, the driver to all kinds of everything, then we absolutely have the means. I will promise you, if we can get a half a dozen of people like Robert, myself, whomever, or Dave Hardy, or Mark Mukow in a room, and we could bear down on the income tax, what it could do for us is it could lead us to a point in time that we'll be able to get rid of the machinery and inventory tax. But this is ass backwards. This is completely backwards what we're doing. And it will absolutely, it'll be the stake in the heart forevermore. Now, you got to listen to me. You're the disciples now. If you believe in what I'm telling you, you got to go tell others. Because literally, you're going to have folks that have a lot of money. They're going to run commercials. It's going to sound good. And you're going to have a lot of people that don't have one earthly clue what they're voting for. And they'll go right in the ballot box and check, you know, a vote for Amendment 2. I'm going to give it everything I got. Everything in the world I've got. And at the end of the day, if we end up voting for Amendment 2, from my standpoint, there's no way I can lose here. And this is exactly how I feel. There's no way to lose. Because first of all, I'm trying to look out for you. And if you decide that you're voting for Amendment 2, at the end of the day, I'm going to then turn back and say, I told you so. There's no way in the world I can lose. There's nothing I would rather be doing so many different things. It's off the chart than being here right now talking to you. But honest to Pete, this is so important, and we have tried, Robert knows, we have tried to negotiate. We've tried to do everything coming or going. Last thing, because all this, I don't have notes, I'm just talking to you. Last thing, getting rid of your car tax. I'd be absolutely for it in a heartbeat. I'm for it right now, okay? Get rid of your car tax. We could do it and do it in a second. But why is that hooked with this whole thing right now? It's hooked with it for one thing. Get your vote. Get your votes. That's all it's hooked with it for. The driver behind the whole thing is the swamp. If I can get your votes and you shoot down, and I'm telling you honestly, there is no way. There's no way you will get rid of the personal income tax, and it is the driver that will absolutely bring growth and everything else to West Virginia. Last thing, last. If you go out here and build a field and they'll come, that's what the machinery and inventory stuff's all about. Just build a field and they'll come. If you believe that and they'll come, well, we've tried that before and they didn't come. And what if they don't come now? That's a real big if. And if they don't come and there's any kind of downturn, all your services here are going to be in jeopardy because you've given Charleston all your money. It's a risk off the chart. It is an absolute gigantic risk. I know every publication in the land would tell you the states that have a machinery and inventory tax versus the states that are on a pathway of getting rid of their income tax. Those states that are getting rid of their income tax are on a pathway straight up, and these people are on a pathway down. There's not very many people here that it's a nice crowd for a cold kind of fall type day. We can't decide just with ourselves to stop this. But we can decide if we are the disciples that go out in the wilderness, we can stop it. Now look, these people, whether it be President Blair or Chairman Tarr, they're not bad people. They're not bad people. But really and truly, they got themselves in a crack and they can't get away from it. They've made promises to others and they can't get away from it. It is a perfect example of the swamp, and we're not doing the smart stuff. No, we're not. To be perfectly honest, I'd bet everything that I have, and that's a big bet. I'd bet every single thing that I have in the world that absolutely, if I had Donald on the phone right now, and I call him Donald because we're friends, and if I had him standing right here, he would say, for God's sakes a living, do what Jim's telling you to do. That's what he'd tell you. Now, whether you love him or hate him or whatever like that, I'm telling you, because you know what he would do? He would stand with the people. He would stand first and foremost with the hardworking people. Now, like it or not like it, we got a real big uphill battle. But as far as the polling on the whole thing, we'll win this. We'll win it. But I can't win it without y'all. Now, the only other thing I'd tell you is before I go, I'm going to have Babydog come out here because I know y'all would a whole lot rather see Babydog than me. Get her, Chris. I got to live in. I know you're probably sitting there saying, oh, gosh, I got to see Babydog. But first, let me ask you this. While she's coming out here, I'll answer any question you got. Please ask me a question if you want anything. I don't care what it is. If I can't answer it, you know, Secretary Hardy will. Hop up here, baby. Okay, sit down there. Sit down there. You doing good? Now she's not voting for this. I promise you that, are you, babe? Okay. There's a great delegate. Ask me anything. Anybody got anything? I'll answer anything. Yes, sir. Well, I'm going to let you decide that. You know, you may have good thoughts there. Yeah. I really, look, you elected a business guy. You really did. And the business guy took over looking after the store. And we can say anything we want, but honest to God, it's pretty hard to argue how we've looked after the store. You know, and from a business guy's standpoint, this right here will destroy the store. And that's why that I'm dialed into this. And I'm not dodging the other stuff, but that's why I'm dialed into this. Yes, sir.
Governor, my name's Ernie Dennis, I'm county assessor. And I've looked at the numbers, and I see the numbers, and I see what happened in this county in 2014 by just the law of mining. We lost 77 acres. We lost the county, lost most of the forest. This amendment will basically do the same thing, and like you said, you have to go to them to get the money. But the way that amendment's wrote, it also is that they can pick and choose what they want. All we're doing is giving them the authority to do it. They're saying, we're going to cut this and this and that. But they actually can pick and choose if they just want the machinery and inventory out and keep the cars because it's too big a cut. Now, they're saying that they can do that, but that amendment doesn't say they're just going to cut it all off. And I'm totally against Amendment 2 because of what I've seen in our county previously. And I don't, I guess, really, I'm very thankful that you come out and took a stance on this. Because I do think it's going to be devastating to the county on what we're going to do.
Well, I appreciate your words, and you're right. At the end of the day, now let's just be real. Jim Justice could just ride this wave that we're on for a couple more years, cut every ribbon known to man, go do this and that, and I could have just one Mr. Fun Time for the next couple of years and then going down the road. Every last one of you, me included, we need to be here for those fellas right there. That's who we need to be here for. In all honesty, their opportunity to do greatness and stay here in this state and have opportunity and on and on and on and on and on. Those fellas right there. That's who we need to be here for. And at the end of the day, if you do this, you are running a risk off the blooming chart. And you're doing that. And you're giving people the ability and the authorities to do things, and you're doing the things that are completely backwards from what good Republicans do. I mean, first of all, we should have cut that income tax to boom and gotten money back in your hands because gasoline was $5 a gallon. We should have done that boom, right off the get-go. But then what we should do, and I've been pleading with everybody to do, we should be sitting down and saying, okay, what of all the things that we could do tax-wise would drive population to West Virginia? What's the personal income tax? Let's figure it out. Let's figure out what to do. I mean, for crying out loud, let's figure out what to do. But what we've decided that we're going to do is take your local control away, give that to Charleston, and forget the personal income tax. We won't even vote on it. Throw that away. who really cares that you're out there hurting because of all the inflation stuff that's going on? We're just going to forget all that. And the other thing we're going to do, we're going to sit back and we're going to have promises. Well, we'll give you this and we'll support your gubernatorial campaign or your whatever campaign and everything. Then we turn into nothing but the swamp. So one more time, just as fast as I can to go through it and everything, and I'll probably miss some. What we've decided to do is poopy on the income tax and getting it, helping you with inflation, and turn right around and do something that I think is taking away your local control, risky beyond belief, and on top of all of that, I go back to just what I said a minute ago. Babydog wants all your money out of wallets. And then she's going to promise, I mean, somebody even said this the other day, said, tell you what Babydog wants you to do. She wants you to give all of your steaks and all of your meat to her. And then she's going to promise she's going to give it all back. Well, she didn't get this way by just doing nothing. You know, I mean, come on. What are we doing? And the other thing is we're hiding it. You don't even know. If I don't come out here and really and truly, you got good people like this wonderful assessor, this wonderful man here that will help. And you've got great people, you know, whether it be Robert or, you know, delegates or whomever it may be that are out there that are trying. You know, the House went right with me, you know. But really and truly, what is going on and is sweeping across us is a shadow and nobody really knows it. If we don't watch out, it's going to pass and it's going to be a real mistake. Yes, ma'am. She asked about broadband, you know, and I would tell you, whether it be a senator or a delegate and myself and everything, we're making gigantic leaps and bounds really fast. We basically said, almost like a pledge, that we were going to put $1 billion into broadband and everything. And we're doing it, and it's faster and faster and faster, and there's lots and lots happening. It's just like these crazy roads, so, and I'll be as honest with you as I can be, the previous administrations decided in their infinite wisdom that things were so bad they had to come up with money anywhere they could come up. They even got rid of our maintenance equipment, a lot of it. Well, our roads were falling all to pieces, and then people were really having a hard time even figuring out how to get to the convenience store without tearing their vehicle all to pieces. They did. I mean, it's exactly what happened. Imagine this. We just did a thing on a scenic highway over at Hawk's Nest. It's the third one we've done. And you know what we're doing? We're marketing West Virginia's roads. Can you imagine that? I mean, honest to God, we couldn't make it to the convenience store, and now we're marketing our roads. It can really change, but it can't change that quick. And from the standpoint of broadband, we're coming. We're running like the cavalry to get there because we all need to have Wi-Fi, broadband, on and on and on. You know, but it's going to take a little while. Well, we're working on it. I'll promise you that. We just turned loose a bunch of bonds just the other day, or not bonds, but let jobs just the other day. It was really significant. It just keeps happening. So we're after it. I'll promise you that. Yes, sir.
We have two municipalities in our county. One's in ready to go home rule, the other one probably will. How can we get the home rule for our counties to help them fill our budgets to pay the enormous jail bills, the things that we've got where people, you know, our property taxes and things just aren't making it. So how can we get that home rule to get people in 19 going through paying part of the taxes to help us? How come we
That's got to be you. You talk about that. Sure.
One of the hats I wear at the Capitol is I chair the Home Rule Board. And it's been amazing how successful it has been for the municipalities. You're right. The legislature needs to amend the home rule program to let the counties in as well. Down in Kanawha County, every one of the municipalities has got that 1% sales tax. Charleston, all of them. Yet out there in Cross Lanes and all those areas, Sissonville, they're unincorporated, no 1 cent sales tax. So the county is picking up all that extra expense. So home rule's a home run. It's a great success. Tell your legislators to put the counties in it. Bottom line. And I believe Summersville is going to be in front of us on October 12th. Right, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
It's in the bag. Okay.
One thing I'll promise you this, and I look at these little guys, little girls, you know, and absolutely, the one thing that I think you can always depend on me for is just what I said a minute ago. I'll make plenty of mistakes, but I'm going to tell them the truth. I'm going to tell them the very best truth that I could possibly tell. And if this man right here did something and he told you something that wasn't the truth, I'd get rid of him. And I love him because I just want just that. You know, you respect the fact that when people make mistakes, but that's the problem. God almighty, just think what we're doing in Washington, D.C. today. Who could possibly think that anything close to that is what we ought to be doing in this country? If we don't watch out, we can do it right here too. Anyway, y'all come up here and say hi to Babydog now. Thank y'all so much for coming.